Susan Gardner here for Municipal World. We're at the 2019 annual conference for the Federation of Canadian Municipalities in beautiful Quebec City. Joining me in the Municipal World Media Center is Cynthia Lulham from the FCM RAC Proximity Initiative. Welcome, Cynthia.
Thank you, Susan.
So, tell us a little bit about the Proximity Initiative, what that is.
Okay, so the FCM is the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, and the RAC is the Railway Association of Canada. Many years ago, almost 15 years now, we at the FCM we had many complaints from municipalities about noise and vibration from railways. But really the true fact is if you have noise and vibration problems, you have security problems, you have safety problems.
Safety issues, yeah.
And so the FCM and the RAC signed an MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding, to work together to look at solutions and how effectively they could work together to find these solutions. We created the FCM RAC Proximity Initiative, and I'm the project manager. I'm also a city councillor in Montreal. I've been a councillor for 24 years in Westmount.
Congratulations.
City of Westmount on the island of Montreal. So in creating this initiative, we had three initial goals. One was to create a communication plan. The second one was to develop guidelines. Third one was to create a dispute resolution program. So we did the dispute resolution program first. We worked with the Canadian Transportation Agency in developing, and it involved the communication as well. Municipalities told us they had a hard time communicating with the railways. They didn't know where to call. The railways have created call lines, so we've solved that problem. We work with the CTA in creating noise and vibration models that we both use, programs, so that you're comparing apples to apples. And then a process. So in the process, they would go to the CTA only after they'd had a dialogue with the railway, etc. The second part was the guidelines. So we developed first guidelines that were really only for greenfield, rural or suburban development. And the city said, we can't have a 30-meter setback in the city. That's a block. So in 2015, we had a team that worked together, planners from across Canada, as well as planners from the railways and the major railways, and Dialogue, urban planning architectural firm in Toronto that we engaged to put everything together, and we launched our guidelines in May 2015. No, that's wrong. We launched our guidelines in May 2013.
Okay.
6 weeks later, Lac Megantic happened. And it was quite interesting because prior to that, when you tried to engage municipalities with the guidelines, there was not a lot of interest or buy-in. Following Lac Megantic, which our guidelines would not have helped. That was a particular disaster unto itself.
Yes.
That required many different aspects to come together. But our guidelines work in a normal derailment. And so following Lac Megantic, cities were much more interested. And so we've been engaging with municipalities in outreach across the country for the last 6 years, including the FCM. We have hundreds of municipalities that have adopted the guidelines into their land use planning. Some, our guidelines are just that, they are guidelines.
Right.
But once they're adopted into a land use plan or bylaws or zoning, they're a legal document. So municipalities adopt them per their needs, so to speak. Topography is different, many different aspects. So to date, as I say, we have hundreds of municipalities who are using or have adopted the guidelines. The province of Saskatchewan has adopted into their provincial land use plan two lines that include, one is regulations and the second is measures for proximity. They're now working on their statements of provincial interest, which would be more specific into setbacks and the like.
Right.
How the guidelines work is that you, in a greenfield or suburban rural development, you would have a 30-meter setback with a berm.
Mm-hmm.
If a train derails, the berm is next to the rail line.
Right.
It's first. So the train would go into the berm, which pulls it down, and it would dissipate within the 30 meters.
Okay.
And then the berm is made of the soil that is excavated from the development. Right. So it saves the developers money. They're able to use the soil on site, so to speak. It's compacted. And then if there's a requirement, we advise noise and vibration testing, and if there's a requirement for a sound wall or screen, then they can put it on top of the berm. So that saves them money because they have the height of the berm already.
Fantastic. So there's a whole range of guidelines that are they're things that relate to good planning, keeping people safe, and minimizing the disruption that residents might experience.
It's aimed at creating safety and livability
Fantastic.
in our municipalities.
People want to learn more about the Proximity Initiative. Where do they find that?
www.proximityissues.ca.
Okay, fantastic.
Or just Google proximity and it pops up.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I'm Susan Gardner for Municipal World, here with Cynthia Lulham for the Proximity Initiative. We share your stories.